How to write the method. The method section is the second part of a paper in the main text. The first part is the introduction. The second part is the method. The method normally you need to cover three things. Number one is about research design. Number two is the technique, the way how you collected your data. And number three is how you analyzed your data. So there are a couple of key points I would like to describe. The first thing is when you write a method section, keep it simple, detailed enough for people can repeat it. However, if the method has been used by many others, you keep it simple because they can find the method from somewhere else. You don't have to describe it very detailed, but if the first time, you do need to give detailed information for other people to be able to repeat your experiment. Trying to be specific and more direct. Direct is better. The second key point is you tell people clearly what is the dependent variable, what is the independent variable. So in the next couple of slides, I will give you some examples. Number three is enough information to allow others to repeat your experiment, particularly to those new techniques. Here, I would like to show you a paper how the method is written. So we keep the four key points. Number one, what will be the dependent variable and the independent variable, how the data is collected, and how data were analyzed. So this is the title. You have a number of keywords here. You have a quinolinic acid, you have a learning and memory, then you have lead and a toxicity. Basically, talking about the mechanism of lead-induced toxicity. So what would be the object? The object here, so this is using the rodents, like rats, with the rats. So those are the objects they have used to carry out this project. Therefore, this is a preclinical study. So first, they're going to have to mention the animal they have used in this study. So you see here with the rats, how they kept the environment that is constant temperature at 21 plus minus 2 degree, and humidity, and you have a light dark cycle. Then you have this here. Normally you have to provide the ethic approval to carry out any animal experiment. So this is about the object. Now here you have used the lead to treat the animal. So lead will be independent variable. So treated or not treated, how many groups? Now this is involved in the experiment design. And how then after treatment, then you will measure the memory, short-term memory and the long-term memory. You see how that's how this paragraph reflect how the experiment was carried out. It's like the experiment design. Now they have used this method called ELISA to measure the concentration of quinolinic acid production after lead treatment. So you see here, this is the method they have used. Again, this is another method they have used. They have infused quinolinic acid into the intraventricular space. It's in the brain, There is an interventricular space. That's how they infused. This is give you the method. And now here's another method. And this is the how you measure the learning and the memory in rats. Here. Then you start to collect the data, what they have collected in terms of data collection. As you can see here, this is actually procedure. This is the animals euthanized with the CO2, and this is followed by they have collected the brain tissue. Then this is how they perform the incubation or use different solutions. Then finally, they will measure the different type of proteins in the following page. As you can see here, this is how they processed the tissue, then collected the brain, then they measured the various immunohistochemistry reaction, etc. Say here. So finally, they have described the analysis, the procedure to analyze the data. Firstly, the data were expressed as a mean plus minus standard deviation. Then they use the t-test because they want to compare two groups, student t-test or independent t-test. And they mention here, give you confidence, they used the normal distribution because they have mentioned because t-test is normal has to be normal distribution, because they did find that this is unequal variance, they put it here. And then you have the p-value and the two-way repeated measure because they have measured sequential in terms of time, the different time points. They use the repeated measure. So now this is how they measured, etc. They use the SPSS. Now here how they data were expressed, how it's analyzed, what's the p-value set, and alpha value 0.05, and they give you some details how they analyze it. Then finally they tell you how and what program they have used, which is SPSS. So in terms of how to write a method, here we got a couple of skills. In the method section, you normally just use past tense and try to use passive and active to make it flow better. Passive is pretty commonly used in the method section. Try not to use we and I because that sounds like not scientific. Feel like you write a story. And it's good you have put a very short sentence or the phrase to tell people why you did this, and make sure the statistic method you have used are appropriate.